It's really how to deal with different people. We talked last week, we talked about treatment of the weak, and we talked about burdens. And am I ringing? I'm ringing back there. Anybody home? He's asleep back there. No. I'm ringing. I'm not ringing now. I'm good. Fixed it. Okay. We talked about the weak and burdens, and sometimes we pray, Lord, remove this burden from me. And I know that's my prayer when something wrong goes. Take care of the situation. And really, we have to look at it. Maybe God's put that burden or that area in our life to help make us stronger. It's like talked about a weight set. We don't say, young guys, they went through a stage where we're gonna bulk up, we're gonna work out, and we want the weights, right? We want them, and we want to get stronger, and we don't say we don't get the weights and say, well, pray, give me the strength to lift them, or I don't want these weights, or reduce the weights. No, what's our goal? We want pain. We want to get stronger, and we want to build up. And that's really what we have to look at it. It's not fun when we're going through something, but hey, what's God trying to teach us? Is He trying to help us to grow? And you look at your life and things that were a big deal when you were a young teenager or a young person, and God puts burdens and you get through it, and then you look and hey, that's not such a big deal, and I can get through this. I've gone through it before, and you get stronger through the burdens and the trials. Realize the dangers of giving somebody too much weight too quickly. Okay, we do that sometimes. Somebody gets saved, they're on fire. Well, let's get them in serving here, and then we get them going, and they're doing too much, and they get burned out. We have to be careful of that. I usually try to wait a year before I get somebody into helping, because I want them to get grounded. I want them to be faithful. I want them to hear good preaching. I don't want them, sometimes you get serving and you're not hearing preaching, and we have to be careful of that. Too much weight too quickly. And so there's some things we have to be careful of. Turn your Bibles to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 5. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 5. We're going to look at treatment of followers. How to treat followers. While you're turning there, we looked at leadership and strong leadership, and we need strong leadership, and we need to support strong leadership. We need to be grateful for it. It's hard to find, and we are in this tear everybody down thing. We got social media. We think everybody wants to hear our opinions. We want to complain. We're kind of a victim mentality society, and you get credence if you've been wronged, and you got to tell everybody how you were wronged. And we take down good leaders, and we have nobody to lead. You look in wartime, what did they want to do? The enemy. Or in war, what's the goal? In the Revolutionary War, the Americans, they knew what? We're going to go for the leaders, right? Okay, you take down the leaders, and it's a mess. And the British didn't quite like that. That wasn't cricket there. That wasn't sporting, and they're upset. But hey, you take out all the leadership, and they don't know what they're doing, and everything falls apart very quickly. Ephesians 6 verse 5 says, "Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart as unto Christ, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with good will, doing service as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. And ye masters, do the same unto them, forbearing threatening, knowing that your master also is in heaven, neither is there respect of persons with him." So the first thing we see here is the leader should give the same loyalty to the follower that he expects from the follower. And much is said about loyalty from the bottom up. I want loyal people following me. I want everybody to be loyal. And leadership likes loyal fellowship, but more should be said about loyalty from the top down. Okay, we need loyal leadership. Often leaders just express their dismay and disdain for disloyal leaders. Complain, these guys they're not faithful, and they're not good followers. But are we good, faithful, loyal leaders? It's a two-way street. Loyalty is a two-way street. It works both ways. It should go from the leader to the follower, as well as the follower to the leader. Okay, you need loyal leadership that's going to look out for the fellowship. I appreciate Preacher as the founding pastor of this church, and he was a very loyal leader. And loyalty, he cared about his followers, and it was important to him. And you see that when you look at the staff and you're like, how long have you been here? 25, 30 years, 35 years. And you can see that it's a two-way street. People were loyal to him because he was loyal to them. And he didn't throw, this pastor, and he got injured and had a lot of medical problems, and he took care of him, and he didn't just say, you can't help me anymore, I'm going to find somebody else that can, I'm going to get rid of you. He supported him and took care of him, even though he was in couldn't do a lot due to some medical conditions, and that breeds loyalty. The previous job I had, where I worked before, they're really loyal to the people. And you can tell that because there's a lot of older people working there that have been 20 years, 30 years. They honored those people, and a lot of people were there, and they ended up retiring, and they treated them right. It wasn't like, well, you're old now, and you're making too much money, and we need to get rid of you for somebody younger that can do more. That may help the bottom line, but that's not going to help loyalty, okay? If you get rid of people and that have been loyal to you, and people aren't going to stay loyal to you. So it's a two-way street. We have to beware of that. I've seen preachers used others and got rid of them as soon as they're no longer useful. And, it can happen at work and church as well. And, we have to be careful of that. It's a two-way street. Leadership needs to be loyal to the followers. Leaders should accept followers as equals. Okay, just because you have a position doesn't make you superior to somebody else. Just because you're a leader doesn't make you any better. Just because I have a leadership position doesn't mean I'm better than anybody else. Because you're a follower doesn't mean you're inferior to someone else. Okay, nobody's inferior, nobody's superior to anybody else. We're all equal. The art of following is just as great as the art of leading. Okay, it's a great skill to be a follower. Leader who expects loyal followers should be a loyal leader. Okay, it's not easy being a leader, but sometimes it's not easy being a follower. Just ask your wife if it's easy to follow you, and be under your authority. A leader should stand by his followers in the same manner that expects his followers to stand by him. A leader should not look down from his pedestal to the follower. He should respect the art of following as much as the follower respects the art of leading. So I hope you, as we talked about strong leadership, I hope we respect the leadership that we have. I hope we support them and encourage them. And followers, we need to realize that it's a big job. You never realize till you're in leadership how important it is and what a lot of stress and strain, but also realize it's important to be good followers and to appreciate good followers. To be a good leader, one must, in some area of his life, be a follower so he can know the heart of the follower. And we need to understand that it's important that, we look at, this is a problem with kings. We don't have kings anymore, but, you see a lot of the kings go off and do crazy, you study history and emperors and kings, and they just have ultimate power, and they do crazy things. You look at the Roman Empire, and it's like they never were taught to be followers. They were groomed to be the next leader, and they were always in leadership, and they always had, when they became the leader, they had ultimate power, and you see some of them do some crazy things because they've never been taught how to be a follower. It's just always you're the leader and you have ultimate power, and that's not a good thing. They don't know what it's like to be a follower. To be a good follower, one must, in some area of his life, be a leader so he can know the heartbeat of a leader. So you want to be a good follower, have some leadership, and you will appreciate what it's like. Okay, I got my first taste of leadership, and it's like, whoa, this is a lot harder than I thought. I've got a new respect for those people in authority. This is a lot more work than I thought. A man may be a leader at home, but a follower at work. To get the best of both worlds there. You understand how to lead, but you also are able to follow. A man may be a leader at work and a follower at church. And it's good to have both. It's good to understand both. It's not easy following people, imperfect people, and it's not easy leading people. Who are the most critical group that you find, according to age-wise? What's the most critical age? Teenagers, very good. Why? They know everything, but they've never led anything, right? They don't know what it's like. They have no idea, and they know they have all the answers. And if I was doing this, I'd be doing this. They know everything. They know how to child rearing. They know how it should be done. And, they've never had any experience. Then they get into some positions and they realize, hey, wow, now I understood why my parents did this. Now this is a lot harder to get people to follow you. So that's one of the things that, teenagers and life experience will teach them, but they're often the most critical. They know everything. They've never led anything. And that's important. I think it's important to give teenagers some responsibility when they're younger. I was reading this book, and basically what it said was when the author was younger, he said what they used to do is if they wanted to start a baseball league, baseball games, they said they would go out and they'd get kids from the neighborhood, and then they would play in a lot, and they'd clear the lot, and they'd do all the work, and then they'd get another team, and they'd challenge other teams, and they'd do all the work, and they learned responsibility, they learned leadership. And he goes, now it's the kid calls up and said, I joined the team. Now it's all your job to transport me, and all the details are on you. And they don't learn any leadership. They don't learn any responsibility. The parents are like, okay, guess I'm driving you. I guess I'm taking care of everything. And the kid has no responsibility, and all the parents do. And we think we're helping the kids. We're really hurting them. And we think we're giving them this cushy life, but they have no idea about responsibility. They have no idea how to lead. And it's important to give them small areas of leadership and responsibility to help them grow and understand what it's like. Brother Hiles mentions he has a man named Randy in charge of maintenance. He said when they're at church, Brother Hiles is the leader. He's the pastor and Randy's the follower. He said when Randy takes him down to the boiler room, who's the leader now? The maintenance guy. He knows everything about it, and the pastor probably knows very little about the boiler room, and so he's the one, Brother Hiles becomes the follower, and we have to be able to realize that and submit ourselves. There's no room in an organization for big shots and little shots. It's not, oh, this person's up here and you're down here, and I'm the first one they call when the toilet breaks or something goes wrong, and I've had to replace the toilets, plunge them, all sorts of things. I'm not this, oh, you're the pastor. All that means is I get all the dirty jobs that nobody else wants to do. So yes, that's my job. Everybody is important, and we should treat others as equals. Okay, we are all equals, and we need to realize that. And nobody's up here, nobody's down there, and we're all equal, and treat people like that. The leader should try to meet the needs of each follower. Okay, it is especially important in a volunteer organization with people donating their time. Hey, we need to meet their needs. We need to keep them happy. We can't pay them. Obviously, they're volunteering, but hey, we can try to meet their needs and make them happy. And the leader should use discernment to understand the needs of his followers and try to satisfy them. Hey, that person's donating their time, and you're a poor leader, and you're not meeting their needs, and they need a credit card, or they need groceries, or they need some help, something fit. I'm going to try to keep them happy, meet their needs, because they're already donating their time, and I don't want them to become disgruntled because I'm a poor leader and they're doing all this work, and I don't care about them, and I'm ignoring them. We need to be careful about that. It might be a need for security. Tell them they're doing a good job. I've realized I can't pay people, but I can give them compliments. That's free. I can give you a thank you note. I'm not the best at those, but I can get my wife to write you a thank you note. No. But I could say thank you. I could show, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. There's nothing worse than when you're volunteering and you feel not appreciated. Okay, even when you're at your job and you're getting paid, it still feels bad you're not getting appreciated. At least you're getting money. But when you're volunteering and the person, you don't feel you're being appreciated, that's tough on the fellowship. You can't just find it's not like a work and I can just go to the unemployment line and hire somebody else to fill that job. It's hard to fill positions in a volunteer organization. So a leader should try to meet the needs of each follower. Be nice, give compliments. Sometimes we take our work attitudes, I was a foreman on this job, and my job was to yell at everybody, and they were getting paid, so they had to do what I say, and I was picking out everything. and you got to be careful. And you take that into a church environment, it's like, well, they can quit anytime they want. They're not getting paid. They're giving up time, money, effort to do this, and you got to be careful how you treat people. Next thing is the leader should get ideas from the follower. His definition of a leadership is a leader is one who goes to all of his followers to learn from them. Oh, I'm the leader. I can't learn from my followers. I should know everything. That's not the right attitude. It takes humility to learn from your followers. It has been said that preaching is pouring back to the congregation in a flood what the congregation sends to the preacher in a vapor. Okay, so we need to understand that. Leading is collecting the knowledge of the followers and making each follower aware of the knowledge of all the rest. Realize just because you're in a position doesn't mean you know everything. I read a biography on Napoleon, and really amazing guy. And when he was in charge of, he was an artilleryman, and after the revolution there was an uprising, I think it was Bastille Day, and they tried to take over, and he ended up rallying some men, and he got a cannon and loaded it up, and there's mobs coming, and it could have got out of hand. He ended up shooting the cannon into the mob, and they dispersed, and it stopped that. They don't know if he said it or whatever, but if you've heard that saying, give them a whiff of grape shot, that's what it means. They put a bunch of balls in there, and they shoot it like grape shot, and that's, stopped what would have been worse. It would have just turned into a full-blown another bloody revolution again, and he stopped that. So he gets promoted to general. So this young, I'm not sure what his position was, young lieutenant is promoted above all the generals, and they're all looking at him like, who's this guy? And you know what he did? He sat down with each general and asked them questions about every aspect of what they did. So, because he wanted to know, he had the humility to know what he didn't know and ask these people that did know and learn from them. And at first they were kind of like, who's this guy who's asking stupid questions? Because he didn't know anything. And he becomes one of the greatest generals in military history. But he started out, and you think, I'm going to come in there like I know everything and impress everybody with my knowledge. He goes in there and starts asking everybody, so how does this work? What's going on here? He wanted to know everything about the military. He was very amazing. I not just his military. If you study his life, he goes in, I think it was like in Malta, and within like 10 days, he's reformed the postal system. He's set up universities. He's got street lights. He's done all this stuff. And you're like, within 10 days. And he is amazing. I don't know how he did all the things that he did, but just amazing. But he had the humility to learn from the fellowship. Next point is the leader should be a servant to the follower. Turn to Matthew 20, verse 25. Matthew 20, verse 25. Says, but Jesus called unto them and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. Whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. And it's talking here about servant leadership. And if you want to be a leader, you got to be a servant. The way that we become leaders and have the right to be leaders is by serving. Okay, how did you get this position? I just worked and served as many ministries as I could, and tried to do as much as I could, volunteering and trying to help others. And that's how you get to leadership in a church, is by serving. In so serving, he convinces his followers of his sincerity, concern, willingness, and ability to lead. Coerced fellowship is dictatorship. Fellowship is dictatorship. Earned fellowship is leadership. And you say, well, I've got a position at work. Well, okay, that's great. You have a title. That doesn't make you a leader. They're paid to follow you. They're coerced. They have to. Okay, you're their boss. If they don't get paid. They get fired. Okay, or you're in the military. You have to, obey that rank, or you get in big trouble. Okay, so that's coerced. They have to do it. If you earn their fellowship, that's real leadership. They want to follow you because they because they aren't being forced to, because they're doing it willingly. And that's important to understand. Like I said a few weeks ago, the hardest thing to lead is a volunteer organization, because you can't coerce anybody, okay? You can't coerce anybody. Even like assistant pastors, well, I'm going to coerce them. Well, most assistant pastors could make more money in the world. They gave up a better paying job, with more money and more benefits and, health insurance and all this stuff, and they could go out very easily and make the same or more. So it's not like, oh, you're going to fire me? Okay. Less stress and more money? Yes, okay. No, it's not really a threat. So even, they're paid staff. I can whip the paid staff, they're making, this little pittance here, peanuts, I'm going to whip them. No, you've got to treat them right, or they're going to go off and they'll find other ways. Usually you're picking, good people that are highly motivated and hard workers, and they're going to succeed in any field they go into. And, you have to be careful how you're treating people. Loyalty is not the absence of disloyalty. It is a positive trait, not the absence of a negative one. A person is not necessarily loyal because he is not disloyal. There's some ground between loyalty and disloyalty. You could say there's three. There's loyalty, aloyalty, and disloyalty. And disloyalty criticizes. Aloyalty will just stay silent. And loyalty will defend. Okay? And that's the three. You look at my wife, and I've said this before, and, she'll tell me my faults, okay? But she knows them all. She'll let me know. But if you go up and tell her my faults, what's she probably going to do? Agree? She will agree silently, but she will not say that out loud. She'll probably attack you, you don't want to be careful. They're small, like little badgers, you don't want to corner them or get them riled up, They will attack. And I appreciate that she will defend. She's not going to sit there silently if somebody's attacking me. She'll probably, hopefully, defend me. That's what she tells me she does. I don't know. But, that's loyalty, is defending. It's not just sitting there silently. Okay, that's aloyalty. And we need to understand the difference. Loyalty never allows one word of criticism about the leader. It is complete defense and support. Okay? And, we have to... That's loyalty. Not everyone is talented, but everyone can be loyal. Okay, that's important. You choose to be loyal. I can't do certain things. I can't play basketball or football, or I don't have talent like that, but I can be loyal. Anybody can do that if you choose to be. Disloyal followers make poor leaders. Okay, this guy that trashed his boss and, just trashes everybody, that's not the guy you really want to follow, that you want to follow. They're going to be a poor leader. If for any reason the follower cannot give his trust and confidence to the leader, he should never rebel or revolt. He can leave very quietly, ethically. He has no right whatsoever to talk about anyone or his differences with the leader. He should leave without causing as much as a ripple in the water. Okay, if you got a problem, if you can't work with somebody, that's fine. You don't need to trash them and tear them down and, tell everybody how bad and how you were mistreated, and, just keep that to yourself. Like I said, we feel justified the more people that agree with us. You say, why do we have church splits over such tiny little things? It's because somebody gets upset and then they have to, instead of just leaving, you could just leave, If you didn't like the color of the carpet or the paint or some little thing that upset you, you can leave. Nobody's going to stop you, okay? But you don't have to trash them to everybody and let everybody know how you were, mistreated, and, I'm going to get on Facebook and whatever and tell everybody and call everybody I know to just let them know, you want to feel justified in your actions, and it makes you feel better. The more people that leave with you, I can get half the church to agree with me, I must have been right? Okay, I must be more right. And that's what we really want to justify our actions. Don't do that. I got a rule. If somebody does something to you, don't tell anybody else unless they can help solve the problem. Does that make sense? Somebody's trying to tell me somebody else did something to them, and I'm like, I don't want to be rude. I don't really want to get involved because there's no reason for me to be involved. I can't really help this situation. You need to go to this person. You need to deal with it here, but don't drag me in because it's just gossiping. I can't do anything. And we need to understand that, be careful of that. If you're wronged, you can leave. You know, you're at work and the boss does something, you don't have to trash that guy to everybody you know, okay? You know what? The next guy probably doesn't, you're probably going to hurt yourself, right? Do you want that worker that got fired and, trashing his boss, and you think he's going to come and, not do that to you? Okay? We have football, and then you have disgruntled players, and, they're trashing and saying stuff. Everybody's like, I don't want that player. Oh, he's talented, but he's going to cause problems in the locker room, and he's going to let everybody know how he was mistreated, and it seems to happen on every team he goes to. And, people stay away from that because they don't want it to happen to them. Brother Hiles has known hundreds of assistant pastors, music directors, principals to be disloyal and cause trouble in the church. Practically every case, there's more damage to the disloyal follower than to the pastor. You follow the families of people that do it and, cause a split and cause all these problems, dedicate their life to tearing down this church or this pastor. Usually it affects them. It affects their family. The law of sowing and reaping. The pastor who criticizes other pastors will have people criticize him. Be careful. I've heard this expression. It says, if people will criticize others to you, they'll criticize you to others. Don't think you can, oh, this person's going to tell me about everybody else, and you're going to listen, and you don't think they're going to walk away and complain about you. They're complaining about everybody in their life. You don't think they're going to complain about you. Just shut it down. Say, I'm sorry, I don't really want to hear. I can't do anything. I don't really need to know. Be careful of that. He says, when as a follower one is disloyal, he's usually as suspicious as a leader for those who work under him. Liars don't trust other people. I've noticed that, and I see people, they think everybody thinks the way they do. Somebody's dishonest, not loyal. Well, they think everybody's that way, don't you? I was naive, and I'm loyal and pretty honest, and I just thought, I went into school and I thought everybody was like that. I thought all the kids would be just like me, and I had a little eye awakening, and now I am not as naive about other people, but I just thought everybody's like that. And they would never cheat. These kids, they're Christian school. They would never cheat, right? They would never lie to me. They never lie about their teacher. Of course these kids wouldn't. They're perfect. And I had a little eye-opening over the last few years, and now I'm suspicious of everything. If there's a little piece of paper balled up, I'm like, this could be a note, and I'm opening the note to see if it's a note, you never know what they're up to, Now I never would have thought of that before I became a school teacher, but, all these things I find out later that they're up to. But we all think people are like us. So if you're disloyal, you're going to be suspicious. Oh, that person's going to turn on me. I don't trust that person because you're not trustworthy yourself. It's tragic to see how disloyalty affects parents affects the children. Follow that, trace that. He says, not one case of somebody that's done that have their children gone into full-time ministry. And I'm not saying that's never happened, and he said most of the time their kids aren't even in church. Okay, people that tear down an authority, tear down another pastor, destroy them, try to take people with them, destroy a church. It's not good for their children. It doesn't usually end up well. So that's treatment of followers. We need to be careful, especially in a church. We got volunteers. Be grateful for them. Be thankful for the amount of time and what they're sacrificing to help at the church. Don't take people for granted. And really, it's important. As leaders, we need to be loyal to our followers. We need to understand that. If we want loyalty from them, we better be loyal to the followers in return. So that's a treatment of followers. We're going to look at treatment of those who have qualities that are irritating. Turn to Genesis 13, verse 5. Genesis 13, verse 5. Says, and Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen. For we be brethren, is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me, and if thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Just another verse, I won't have you turn here, but Romans 16:17 says, Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. We have to understand any two people that are closely associated have qualities that irritate each other. Okay, if you have a brother or sister, it brings up a lot of memories, doesn't it? They love irritating each other, and we see that all the time. A husband and a wife, we can get on each other's nerves. We're around other people a lot of time, and it's only a matter before their habits or idiosyncrasies start to annoy us, and we annoy them. So how to treat people that are irritating. Number one is do not rely on doing better. Especially in the case of adults, usually you're not going to change adults, okay? The older you are, the more stuck in your ways you are, it's harder to change. We have to understand that. Fire and gasoline will explode when they are mixed. They're never going to get along, okay? If the gasoline vows to do better and the fire promises to improve, it's not going to make a difference. They're just always going to cause an explosion, and it's inevitable. It's only a matter of time. And it's usually best that other measures be taken. Okay, we have problems between two people, and I'll do better. Okay, I'll stop. Well, maybe we need to do something else. When finding helpers for the teachers, I usually ask this. I say, who do you have in mind? Who would you like me to ask? I want them to pick the helper, right? Because if I pick the helper and it doesn't work out and they have problems, who do they blame? Oh, you gave me this helper and I just can't work with them and they're terrible, At least if they pick the helper, then it's their fault and it doesn't work out, then they can't blame me at least. But I don't want to throw two people, well, you two just need to round each other's corners off and, I think you'll be good for each other, you'll help each other because, you're just totally opposites. And no, I don't. I want people to work together, and I usually let them choose if I can so that they, things go smooth. Stay away from situations that cause irritation. We're looking at Abraham. He was Lot's uncle. Abraham left Ur. He took his nephew with him. He rears him as his own son. Famine comes to the land. Abraham takes the family to Egypt. Then he and Lot both become wealthy. In the case, their wealth causes problems between them. Employees start to fight. Okay, so they got their herdsmen, and Lot's and Abraham's herdsmen are fighting over. They're fighting over wells, and something had to be done. And you could say, well, we just need to keep working this out. We need to, figure this out. We just need to make it better. But Abraham was smart, and he approached Lot, suggested Lot choose whatever he wanted. And he didn't have to do that, did he? He was the uncle, right? He could have said, you're like my son, you're my nephew, you need to hit the road, okay? You're causing problems. He was very nice, went above and beyond, said, you can pick whatever you want, and I'll take the rest. This is the uncle. Okay, this is the older person, and this is the authority. This is the one who helped raise Lot and helped get him started in life and led to his wealth. And he's saying, I'm willing, I don't want any problems between us. I'll let you choose, and I'll take whatever's left over. And that's huge of him. What is he saying? He said, Lot, let's not allow strife between us. Let's alleviate which causes strife. We obviously can't get along. Let's separate. We can't work it out. Best if we don't own the same land and share the same property, circumvent the circumstances that cause the friction and the things that irritate both of us. And you find, maybe it's your brother or sister, my relationship with my sister got a lot better once we both left. We weren't living together and on each other's nerves, and you find that happens a lot, that sister or brother you hated when you separate. Now you're happy to see them, and, you get along great because you're not stuck in the same room or, in the same house with them or the car and, all these irritations. And, you can't do it with your kids. You have to teach them. My kids are 3 and 4 and 5, I have to teach them to get along. I can't kick them out of the house, but, they're on each other. And maybe one day when they're older, they'll separated and they're not on top of each other, they'll appreciate each other a bit more. There's some people you can work with, but you cannot play with. Okay, maybe you can get along with work and it's a structured environment and there are rules and you could do that, but maybe when it's free time, playtime, you can't go out and you have issues. Some people with whom you can play, but with whom you cannot work. Have social life with them, but do not work together. You want to really test the relationship? Work with somebody. Okay, be with them all day, and you'll get on their nerves, and they'll get on your nerves, and that really, especially a job like construction, it's very physical and very taxing, and it's dangerous, and it really can cause a lot of issues. Some people you can be with for a short time, but not a long time. Okay, you may get along well when it's an hour, but when you're there for a week with them or you're a couple days, then you got to know your limit. Things start to, problems usually arise. Discover how long you can be with somebody before problems arise, and limit yourself to that amount of time. Hey, I can stand this person for a day when they stay. If they stay a week, well, they start to irritate me and I start to irritate them. Know what the limit is. Certain people with whom certain subjects are off limits cause stress. Avoid those subjects. You may have relatives and they come over and they think differently and they want to start fights, and you have to be careful of that. Avoid those topics. Try your best. If it's going to start a fight, don't bring it up. Okay, it's not going to do any good, and you need to be careful of that. Certain couple I know, they try to avoid being on the same volleyball team. They're married. They love volleyball, but they just can't play together. I won't name any names, but they make you think, oh, married couple, they want to play volleyball. They just love that. But they make sure they're on opposite teams because it just causes problems. Brother Hiles talks about him and his wife. They had differences in opinion on child rearing. And he said she was very lax and lenient, and he was more of the disciplinarian. So finally they had to agree. They said when one's disciplining them, the other leaves the room. Because he goes, I didn't want to be there when I saw her being lenient. Women, they're always making excuses for their kids, right? Oh, they're just tired. They're throwing a tantrum. They're just tired, or they're just sick. They're not your usual self. And, oh, they just had too much sugar. That's why. You got to understand. We got to be understanding. Just, and the dad's like, I'm going to kill this kid. You're letting him get away with it. And the mother's like, oh, he's just it's bedtime, just be nice to him. And I'm like, how are they doing that? And he goes, so he made an agreement. And he goes, when she's being lenient, I'm leaving. And he goes, when I'm ready to execute the kid, she's going to leave, and, let him take care of it. And that's how they kind of solve that issue. Try to avoid things that irritate. Okay, if you know something irritates somebody, try to avoid it. When we moved into our house, we had two dressers, a dresser each, and we had like this hanging space was like this. She had I had the upper because she couldn't reach, and she had the lower. So my wife had this much hanging space. We didn't have a lot of room. So I always, as a guy, when you wear something and it's not clean, but it's not really dirty, it's that in-between place, I would stack it on my nightstand, And for some reason that irritated my wife. I didn't want to put the half dirty back in, and then I knew I got one more wear out of it, And for some reason, then the stack would kind of build, and then it would get so big it would just fall off. And I don't know why that irritated her, but she would tell me constantly, that's irritating. Please just hang your clothes up. And I'm like, I don't want to hang them back up because then they'll think they're clean, and so I found the answer. The answer is I just put them all in the dirty clothes after one wash because they magically get washed and get hung up. So that was the answer to all my problems there, right? It's just, I don't know why. I put them in this magic basket and they just were hung up. So I never had to worry about it. So that's how I got rid of that one. But if somebody's irritating, try to, I'm like, I don't want to irritate my wife. I don't want her to see that pile every time she comes into the room and get irritated and frustrated with me. So I just throw them all in dirty clothes. But, try not to do things that irritate people. There should be a constant effort to correct the things that cause a problem. But until the correction is complete, the irritant should be avoided. Okay, so sometimes, even in church, hey, these people don't work together. Doesn't mean either one's bad and one's good. It's just two, like we said, sometimes you have two strong people. They both have opinions on how things should be done. and we need to, maybe you're better in this area, maybe we need to separate you. And sometimes that's the best way to solve some issues. So really how to deal with irritating people, and it could be us too. We always think about people irritating us. We don't think about how we irritate other people, but sometimes separating them is the best answer. And people just don't get along. And like I said, you're not going to change a lot of people. Don't think you're going to, this person who's 60 years old and they've been this way their whole life, you're just going to go in there and tell them to totally change the way they do everything. It's probably not going to happen, and maybe you need to separate people. All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we love you. We thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your word and just how to deal with different people, dear Lord, and help as a church to learn how to get along, and help us to learn how to be good leaders, good followers, and just lift each other up, encourage each other, and